Welcome back to our last session of the summit for the user track using SmartDS built-in apps. So there are three main applications: the control flow, the COBOL field filter, and the line filtered search. However, the COBOL field filter, once you filter your fields, can spawn two other applications. One is the field tracking report, and one is a field tracking diagram. The line filtered search we will show you on this session. However, note that the plan for the next version is to incorporate it directly into the search interface, so it will not be a standalone tool. However, I will show you the workings of it because the technical workings of the product will remain the same. So let's dive in and start with the control flow diagram. There are three ways to get the control flow diagram to work. The first one is after you've searched for a program, you can go onto the quick actions and select the control flow diagram. Another option is while you're viewing a program that supports the control flow diagram, you can go to the actions of that module and click on control flow. And the third option is to simply go to the control flow application directly, in which case here you can choose what language you want to flow, and you can copy paste your source directly into the window here. So there's three different ways to spawn the control flow diagram. We're going to use the quick action for this module. We're going to click the icon. By default, it shows you all the sections and paragraphs. None of them are selected. We are going to select a few paragraphs. While you can select them all, you will probably get a message with too many nodes and the diagram becomes unusable. So you can select 10, 20 nodes and draw the diagram. So by default, the diagram shows us the core decisions only, which means it's the if, then, else, go to of all the sections we chose. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can see it here. So let's see what we can do with the control flow diagram. First of all, we can put the source code side by side, which is kind of nice because if you click on a bubble, it takes you directly to that statement. And if you click on a statement, it'll take you directly to the bubble. So that's one thing you can do. The next thing you can do, in the options, you can decide if you want more or less details in the control flow. For example, if we want everything, then we can apply, and now it'll be the detailed control flow with every command will be the moves as well, the add. If you wish to see the actual statements in the bubbles, so let's say we got the source code here, we click on this perform statement, it's perform R78 read S set Q. If you want to see the actual statements, then in the options, you can show details and apply. And what will happen is the actual code will go into the bubbles, and now you don't need the source code because you have the code actually right in here, the bubble. When you zoom out, you can see that each top level section here is on its own. So each one is drawn on its own. If you want to see how everything works together, you can select to connect the calling procedures. And now it will draw the diagram of all the connected procedures together. And of course, you can always zoom in. I'm pressing Control and flicking the mouse, or you can zoom in the diagram in here. If you click on a line, that line is highlighted to show you that it's going from this if statement directly to this move. You can export the diagram into multiple formats. The PNG, SVG, PDF are going to be graphical, and the JSON is going to be a textual representation of all the relationships between all the diagrams. As always, to export, you remember, it goes into our notification center. You give it a file name, flow TTC095, and you can give it a format, SVG, and you give it a folder, My Documents, and export. And when it's ready, the light will light up the bell. There, it's ready. We can now go and check out our flow SVGs right here. We can view it. There it is. If you do load a very large program, then you might get a notification on the screen that says kill or wait. Kill the page or wait for the page. And you may have to click on the wait for the page a few times until the entire drawing is drawn to your browser. That's a very quick introduction to the control flow diagram application. And now we'll move on to the COBOL field filter. So the COBOL Field Explorer explores all the fields that are collected from all the programs. We can type a field or part of a field like tax amount, add it, and we instantly see all the usage of the field tax amount. You can filter this listing by any of these attributes. For example, we can choose specific data types to include it, or even programs. We can filter by field movement. For example, we want only fields that are doing a move or compute or multiply, so we can filter like that. We can filter by definition. So let's say we're looking for only the fields that were S911 V99. And you can filter by field type value and by initial value, the default value, so what was in the field when it started. So all of these filters allow you to pinpoint on specific field or fields that you want to do your analysis on. So we took tax amount, and you can see here, for example, this audit city tax amount field. I want to select that field. And I'm going to generate a field tracker diagram. So it's going to take that one field in that one program and track the field. The pink is the field that we started off with. And then we have both directions, going in and going out. The depth is currently set to all levels, but you can control that to only 2 levels, for example. Let's go back to 3. You can select which kind of movements do you want. Right now they're all there. Add, move. If we unselect and leave only the add and apply, diagram changes. If we unselect and do only the moves, the diagram will change again. If you place the mouse on the field, you will get detailed information on each field. The name, the level, the definition. Is it a file? Is it a literal? Maximum size, and how many times it occurs. If you choose a different field and you right-click or click, you can track that field. So now the tracking changes to the field we chose. And if we want to connect everything, then we should probably put all the commands, apply, and there they are. Of course, a zoom out will show you the entire map, and the map changes based on what you display in the movements and how deep the diagram is. On very complex fields, you can choose to go only forward or only backward, and you can choose if you want to see the redefines or not. The lines here that are dashed are redefines. Another interesting thing is when you put the mouse here on a line, it hides everything else and focuses only on that line and shows you the actual line of code making that link, the move. So here, it was an add statement. So it shows you from the program line 1734 had an add that field to that field. If the diagram is very crowded, you can also search. For example, if we wanted to know where dist tax is, you can come here and search for dist, and then it drops down the fields, and you click on this and find, it highlights it right here. Let's do it again. Let's do sort record. If I type here sort record, there it is. If I search, it'll highlight that field for you. You can also view a table mode, in which case you will see all the field movements and all the text related. So that can be very helpful as well for analysis. And of course, you can export this list as an artifact, like we discussed yesterday, those who were on the session, and it will appear in your notification center. And that was a short session on the field tracker diagram. And now let's go to the field tracker report. So the field tracker diagram can track one field at a time in a program, or can track multiple fields in one program because it's contained to a single program. However, the field tracker report is able to track multiple fields from multiple programs. So in our case, we have all the fields with tax amount. There's many different programs. We're going to select all of them and select a generate field tracker report. This may take a few seconds. And what we get here in the result is all the fields that we found. They're tracked. So these are the fields we found. Here are the indications of them in the programs. And these are the fields that are moved to the next level. So they are moving from one level to the second level. Here I'm going to select all the next level. I'm going to deselect literals and zeros. And I'm going to search the next level now. So now I'm asking the map to draw me all the places where we're moving to these next level fields. And I can keep on going like this. Again, I'm going to select everything, deselecting the numbers, literals. They don't interest me. And deselecting zeros. And search next level. And each level, as it draws, the color changes. So now we have more colors. Then I'm going to do one more level. Deselect the numbers. And deselect the zeros. I'm going to keep doing this until it comes to an end, but I'll freeze the recording. I'll join you back up in a second. And it took 7 doubles for the movements to stop, to all reach the end of the line. And now what we end up with are all the programs with all the fields highlighted in these 7 different levels of movement. So they start at the yellow, move to the blue, to the pink, to the green, to the light blue, and so forth. Now this report, I can review it. I can delete lines I'm not interested in, because this report I plan to, for example, send to my colleagues for actual work. So I'm going to delete certain lines I'm not interested in. And once I'm happy with the report, goes all the way down for all the programs, I can export this report to HTML. And let's have a look what it looks like. So the export has all the levels, how many fields in each level, followed by every single program and all the highlighted words. So the field tracking report basically tracks numerous fields throughout all the programs until it reaches the end of the road, until there's no more movement. That was a few minutes about the field tracking report, and now we move on to the next application. So as I said, the filtered search, which is our last application that we're going to talk about, has been removed from the version 11 as it's going to be put inside to the interface of the search. So you won't actually be calling an app, it'll be part of the search interface. So I'm going to version 10 to show you the logistics of how to operate it. So the filtered search, the idea of the filtered search is, what if we try to do a search for something like this, ENG asterisk wildcard, but we didn't want the word engine. So let's try to understand this. If we went to the search here and said we want ENG asterisks, what are we going to find? We're going to find all the places that have anything with ENG. Let's just look at a few hits so we can see. Engrossing, engulfing, English. Let's go to code. These are all parts. ENG. So we have a lot of different words. What we don't want is the word engine. See, we don't want engines or engine. We want everything else. So it's not like you can come here and say, oh, sure, let's just do ENG and not engine. You can't do that. And the reason you can't do that is because the search will find everything with ENG, and once it finds the word engine, it will remove that whole program from the list. Even though in that same program, there are many other words that have ENG that you really want to keep. And so what we need to do is we need to get all the results back, and that's why we created the line filtered search. We need to search for ENG asterisk, get all the results, and then add a filter and tell the system we want to filter by a word. We want to exclude lines that have the word engine. So this filter gets processed line by line after the search. So now we can go and do a search on, let's say, all the mainframe types. And if you look at the results, the green lines are what we wanted, the match. They're anything with ENG. The no match are lines that have engine. So right now, so far, there's nothing. Let's see if there's anything comes up with the word engine. Let's bring the next 100. So here's a few, you see. So in this module, these lines were excluded from the report. I can still see them because I might want to see how many lines, what was in them, but you can either view the matched lines with anything with ENG, the no match, the ones we wanted to exclude, or everything. And here's the program that we're looking at, PL0663, with both the matched and the unmatched lines. So that's the idea of a line filtered search. You do your search, SmartDS brings back all the lines, and then the filtered search allows you to analyze line by line and choose which ones you want and which ones you don't want. There are a few types of filters we can discuss. The first one we saw was very simple. It's by words. You can include or exclude. And you can put here a list of words separated by comma. The next filter is within words. So you can say that you want, for example, to search for ENG asterisk, and you want to include or exclude lines that have the word read followed by the word update in 4 words. So if that line has anywhere read and please update, it will exclude. Between positions, you can say I want to include or exclude if we have the word move in position 1 to 80. So basically, I don't want lines with move. Everything else is good to go. There's regex. Regex, those who know how to write regex, basically you can search for anything. Basically, this is like a wildcard search. Hit contains. So now we have here that the line that we want to include or exclude has to contain or not contain a hit. So when you do a search, we mark the words with yellow or what color. Now you can say that to include lines that have a hit or don't have a hit. And hyperlink. You can say to include or exclude lines with hyperlink. I'll show you an example of how I use this filter. Let's start off with a search that looks like this. Xcode contains copy, and I'm going to search on language COBOL. What this search will do is show me all the programs that have a copy statement. And usually, at least in the MS COBOL, I'm expecting every copybook to be hyperlinked because that's what SmartES does. If we find a program that we can hyperlink, we hyperlink it. So if there's missing hyperlink like here, that means we're missing that copybook. So how can I now, in SmartES, find all these missing lines? I can't, not in the regular search. However, if we go into the apps, into the filtered search, we can do this. Let's start the filtered search again. And I'm going to select the MS COBOL. And I'm going to type the same criteria. Xcode, meaning only focus on code, ignore comment lines, contains copy. Only I'm going to add a filter. And I'm going to tell the filter I want to include only lines that contain hyperlinks. Because if there's a copy command, there should be a hyperlink on the word next to it. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to do OK and do a search. And now I'm expecting, let's do a match. Here are my lines that have hyperlinks. And here are the lines that do not have hyperlinks. So look how easy it is now for me to display. Let me sort. And here I can display all the ones now that have missing copybooks. I can go and load another 100. Load them. I can sort again by the hit count. And in all these programs, I am missing copybooks. So this is great because now we have a method to find out all the places in the system that we're missing information using the line filtered search. So I hope this was helpful. And now we will end this session and open for questions. Thank you.